Motivating your athletes. To be a motivating coach, you must obtain answers to these two questions. The first one, why are some athletes so motivated and others so unmotivated? The second, how do I motivate my athletes to be the best they can be? The answer to these questions begins with the principle of motivation. People are motivated to fulfill their needs. Basics of motivation. Motivation is about directing behavior toward a goal and pursuing that goal with some level of effort. Athletes are motivated to fulfill their needs, and their primary needs when participating in sports should be to have fun and feel worthy by experiencing success. With that in mind, consider what actions coaches can do that will positively motivate or negatively demotivate their athletes. Extrinsic and intrinsic rewards. A good coach must understand the difference between extrinsic and intrinsic rewards, and which are more meaningful to their athletes. Trophies, medals, money, and praise are examples of extrinsic rewards because they are things that are provided to an athlete by others. Intrinsic rewards are feelings that are internally satisfying, such as having fun, feeling competent, and successful. Both can be used to motivate athletes. However, over time, extrinsic rewards may become less valued. Need to have fun. Each of us has the need for a certain amount of stimulation and excitement, or another term, fun. Sports can energize and stimulate athletes to an optimal level. When this is achieved, athletes discover the joy of sports. When sports understimulate, athletes become bored. When sports are fun and enjoyable, an athlete's attention is centered on the activity, causing them to lose sense of time, have the feeling that everything is going right, and not be bored or anxious. In order to keep sports fun, be sure to fit the difficulty of the skills to be learned or performed to the ability of the athletes. These skills need to be difficult enough to be challenging, but not so difficult that they can't be successful. Keep practice stimulating by varying the drills. This is especially important with young athletes. Keep everyone active. Try to limit the amount of time athletes are not actively participating in a drill. Avoid constant instruction, and do not constantly evaluate your athletes. Need to feel worthy. All human beings share the basic need to feel competent, experience some success, and feel worthy. Even at a young age, athletes can refer winning to success and losing to failure. When dealing with athletes, it helps a coach to understand how an athlete views him or herself, as either a winner or as a loser. Someone who thinks like a winner is an athlete who is motivated to achieve success. They see winning as a consequence of their ability, gives them confidence that the success can happen again, and they also blame failure on insufficient effort. On the other hand, someone who thinks like a loser is an athlete who is motivated to avoid failure. They tend to attribute failures to lack of ability. They see infrequent success to luck or weak opponents. This way of thinking is when athletes blame themselves for failures, but take little to no credit for their success. Organized sports are very different from the playground or backyard sports most children first participate in. When young people succeed, they naturally raise their goals near the upper limits of their current abilities. They see their mistakes not as failures, but as part of the learning process. By playing organized sports, this mentality can change. Athletes are now having their evaluations become public and official through stats being kept, such as wins, losses, errors, strikeouts, etc. Consequence may be that the emphasis shifts from learning the sport to performing the sports. Mistakes are now errors that represent failures to perform. Learn to fear failure continued. As a coach, you must set realistic goals. When goals are unrealistic, that almost always guarantees failure. When playing organized sports, players quickly observe that coaches prefer superior performance, giving them greater recognition. It is vital, especially with young athletes, to make sure that everyone is recognized, not just those with advanced skill levels. The fear of failure can lead to players attempting to be more like the greater skilled ones. In doing so, they may have placed unrealistic goals upon themselves, and failure can happen. Define success. The problem about this issue of worthiness is that athletes learn from their parents, coaches, teammates, and media to gauge their self-worth largely by wins and losses. Now, don't get me wrong, winning is important, but it must become secondary to striving to achieve personal and team goals. Realistic goals is key to helping athletes see success as more than just a win or a loss. So how does one as a coach set realistic goals that will lead to motivate and promote self-confidence in an athlete? One way is by emphasizing performance goals over outcome goals. For example, a goal could be having 10% fewer forced errors during a game. Another way is set challenging but realistic goals. Achieving easy goals is valued less by athletes. An example could be setting a goal for your entire team to make 75% of their free throws during a game. It is realistic and for your team may be challenging. If it is not challenging, then that percentage can always be increased. The third way, set specific goals. A goal should refer to the quantity or quality of the performance and should be measurable. Lastly, set goals for both practice and contests. Focus practice goals on improving skills. For contests, set goals to execute the skills worked on in practice. Remember, it is up to you as a coach to keep your athletes motivated.